Hello everybody and welcome to episode 15 of the Wakefield to Knottingley route building series. Today we're taking a look at finishing off this scenery on the opposite side of the track at Featherstone that we've been working on. We've worked on the last couple of videos to build this little scene on the north side of the line. Now we're going to look at the side, so the south side, mainly of oval section. So we've got a couple of ugly pitches and stuff to put in, football pitches, cricket field and whatnot. And then we've got mainly field scenes to do as well. So we'll look at getting on with that now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually put the footpath in that goes down the side of the track here. So that's probably the sensible place to start. We did cover all this stuff on the right hand side in the last two episodes, so if you've not seen those, there's a lot of things that I've expanded on in those episodes that are probably worth watching if there's things you're not sure about, such as doing lofts and offsetting and stuff like that. Just having a look around it at the minute, see what I can find that's in this selection of stuff that I've got. See if I've got any footpath assets. I know Callum's done one for the on-track simulation library, but I'm honestly not sure if it's actually really suitable for this sort of stuff. So that's what I'm just looking around in the various lists for at the minute, to see what we can find. I don't like that, that's way too overexposed. That one's not too bad. It's a case of trying to make it so it can work with the crossing though. Just trying to put it out across here. Seeing if we can get it to work. It may not. It may be the case that this isn't something that's doable. I'm just trying to get the gradients to be settled on it. I don't think this is going to look right personally. Let's have a look. Okay, I reckon that can work now. I was unsure whether it'd look okay, but I think it probably does look alright for the most part. I think this bit here could do a bit of work, which I'll try and fix now. Bit more happy with that now. So the footpath needs to come then this direction, so away from the track, and it needs to run alongside the fence on the edge of the field. Is where the footpath goes down here. See, it goes all the way along and follows past the cricket field to the what they call cricket field crossing, which we haven't put in yet. Obviously that's going to go here. Just a case of lowering that down now into the ground. And obviously we've got bits like this where it's kind of floating a bit, so we can mess around with the terrain a bit though here and actually pull the terrain up to the height of the path. So we're going to get it on a 6 brush, so I'm going to put it up to a 9, it should start pulling it up a bit easier. There we go. Continue, just pull it up all the way along so that we don't have the banking of the path floating anymore, because that's not what we want. It just means that it's got a consistent height all the way along. Now here maybe it's going to be a case of actually bringing the path down a little bit, because I think it's got a bit high there. It needs to be sort of level with the fence, so you can see it's higher than the fence at that point. and again there, so bring it down, and then at this point obviously it's starting to climb back up to the height of the railway where the crossing is. So it's this bit we're going to be wary of. I'll just move the gradient change out there as well, make it a lot nicer. I'm going to try snap to road on this one, although it's actually not going to be a snap to road, it's going to be a snap to path on this one. See what results we get. We're going to have to keep doing the manual manipulation of it. So we're just going to pull the terrain up here. Same again. Just continuing this all the way up to the very top. Just being careful not to clip it too much on the inside, on the bank inside. This little bit here that needs to go up now, and generally it's just a bit more raised up in this corner where it meets the railway itself. Well, you can see we've got a bit of an ever so little climb there that shouldn't be there. And that's fixed that. Next up, we're just got to fix this ramp up into it. Just got a little hole in the ground here now. Soon fix that by pulling it up like I just did then though. And then we just got to pull the embankment up all the way across here. And we'll work on that probably a few episodes time. Because we're focusing primarily, we're focusing on this section down here. Back towards Featherstone. Again, I went through where we are and stuff on the route in episode 13. So what we're looking at here then, next up is the foliage. So we've got a few bushes that need to be put in. And small trees. Which I'm just adding in now. As before, just varying the sizes of each one. Trying to make it a bit more dynamic. So that they're not all the same bush and same tree everywhere. Lower the height of it. Also a case of trying not to foul the track with it as well, because you don't want it fouling the track. That one looks a bit weird where it's placed there with the sort of in relation to the track, so bring that one in a bit. And I've got another one here. I've got another two further up here. One of them is actually on the banking, this one, so we'll put a bush on the banking. Put onto local rotation, so we're rotating around the asset, not the route. And then put medium-sized beech tree on the side there. Just going to lower it down a little bit. There's another tree just up here. I'll put this one on the banking, so we've actually got one on the banking, not just all at the bottom. And I'm going to rotate this away from the track a bit as well, so that it sort of looks like it's leaning on the embankment. Next up, see if there's any more up this way. I think there's a few more. Yeah, there's a bush here that needs to be added in. And then there's a couple more trees, as you can see just here. There's actually a little line of bushes there as well. So we can put those in, and then we can put the tree in the middle of that lot as well. And there's a few more trees up this way as well. You see a little clutch up there. So once again we'll put a line of bushes in. then follow it up with a tree. And that's sorted. And following up, there's nothing on that section there. There is a bush there, but it's kind of away from the track, but we'll still put it in anyway. And we'll be sorting that out afterwards, obviously, this line of stuff here, because there's a football field, as you can see there. So that's got to go in separately. So we've got the foliage sorted now. Reasonably happy how that's looking. Good little scene looking through there at the allotments and everything behind. You can get some good shots over the top. And most importantly from the driver's cab. I was just trying to have a little look at everything from a few angles, see what I can see if there's anything that stands out briefly. And I'll do that regularly as well through production, just making sure that there's nothing stands out too much. Next up we need to put in the mud path that went up there. Actually no, we won't do that. I was going to do it, then I realised it's probably better for us to actually do some focusing on this bit. So around here we've got a small football field. Very basic. I'm not actually sure if there's any fencing or anything around this. It looks like there might be a small fence, but not certainly anything major. Just going to load up Google Maps, see if I can see anything much on it. But when I looked before, you couldn't really see much detail there. We don't really have a particularly fantastic football field asset. It's actually a rugby field. This one, you can see the post's shadow there, so... Don't know if we have a rugby post. I know that World did some, but no, there we do. I thought World done some. Just sports. We're going to have branded rugby posts, I guess, but it's better than none. So we've got both sets of rugby posts in. I don't think I can see a fence there. I don't know what it is, so we'll just put a wooden fence around the side of it. Can't really fully tell exactly what it is, to be honest, but it could well be some sort of like little like a metal bar sort of fence, but very hard to tell. So we'll put a wooden fence around it. Into the corner over there. It's just a case of lowering the ends on it as well. And then working back up the hill, we'll find that the fence will go flying up in the air, no doubt, in a minute, because they are they are a lot more iffy when you're doing it this way. If you're going up a hill with a snap to terrain fence on, you'll find that it does fly in the air quite often. What we can do to fix that overrun there is just cut back a bit and then redo it. And then it's a case of just fixing back up here the other bits that saw went a bit skewy. So there particularly, and there. And then we just need to think of where the entrance is, and it looks like it's here somewhere. Looks like it's just here. Looks like I've actually got some floodlights on here as well. 4 sets of floodlights. Only on one side, so I'm not sure what the point of them is, to be fair, but... see what we've got. Yard light's probably going to be the best sort there. Certainly I would rather have a yard light than a street light, I think. Now having said that, they do look a bit old fashioned, maybe a street light would be better. We'll see how it looks when we get further on. I'll leave it for now. So this, I believe, is a bowl screen. There's not much we can really do to make a bowl screen. All we can do really is put these bushes in without having custom assets made specifically for a bowling green, which certainly aren't planning to at the minute. So in that case, our best form of attack of this one will be to put in some hedges. So we've got one section in there. I'll do another one. Actually, looks like that might be a picket fence there, actually, looking at it. There's bushes at the back then. So then we got the bush at the back there, so we can put that in. Not entirely sure what this building is. I'm guessing it's sort of like it looks like a porter cabin of some sort. But I think the best building that we can probably put in is one of these generic little sheds from the Train Sim Academy. A useful set of assets, the Train Sim Academy ones. I only discovered the usefulness of them by working with them on just train stuff, but the Train Sim Academy is included with everyone's simulation. Everybody has it. You might not have it. You might have unticked it or whatever, but everybody has it. It's actually got some really good little bits in it, particularly foliage. Actually, it's got some decent foliage. Much better than a lot of DTG's main routes, actually. So you can just drop down. Just putting the bush in here so it's set down nicely. I'm getting in the way. A bit of a gap in it there. We need to try and fill, which we have now. So that's the bowling green in. What I didn't do with the rugby pitch was, and actually that's part of in painting what I'm talking about. So we got the football field next. The football fields are a curious one at times. You can't really, you can see that JT have got some, but they're really not very good. They stand out quite a lot. You can put that one in, but I don't know. I'm personally not a massive fan of that. Especially because it means you've got to faff about with the terrain as well, so they actually fits. And the textures of it are really bad. I think in all reality, you sometimes just better just putting some goalposts in the ground. I've found anyway. Anyway, we'll put a white picket fence around the field. So like so, we got the picket fence going all the way around now on that side. Just got to fix it at this end. And then this direction as well. Helps if I make it in the straight line. when you put the goalposts and stuff in, you can actually make it look pretty football pitch like. Certainly from the cab, just by doing lining and stuff. There aren't really that many good sort of amateur football pitch assets around, unfortunately. Sort of thing that sort of appears in a lot of places next to railway lines, but we don't really have anything of them. Same with cricket fields. There's certain things like the UKTS freeware packs. I think they have cricket fields and stuff in, but it's a case of whether you want to enable those. I haven't decided yet if I do or not. I'm just going to work this back up the field. And then we're looking for goalposts, which is they're sort of a bit amateurish. We need a bigger one than that. Whether there is going to be any or not, I don't know. They'll do the job. I'm just going to put those on the pitch, and obviously when it comes to terrain painting, you can paint on the penalty area spots, the centre spot, bits where the ball's regularly kicked, like the corner flags. Where you get a bit more dust and stuff. You can see the pictures on a bit of a hill, but I'm not too concerned about that. A lot of the sports fields around here are probably not this much of a hill, but they are on a hill. Even the Featherstone Rovers rugby field is on a pretty steep sort of slope here. So we've got the fence around from the cab. As I said, it looks fine. We've got this cricket field next to put in. Now I think there's like some sort of port cabin or something in the corner. It's going to be better if we use the one that we used on the other side of the track. In the allotments, this one. It's probably where there's a scoreboard or something, I bet. And there is a tree next to that one as well. So we can carry on this picket fence around the side of the cricket field. That's just a case now of making sure it's not floating too much. Same again on the far side. Featherstone, of course, is an old mining town. That's why you got a lot of older houses and stuff over there. Very much a mining community. These days there's quite a big industrial estate on the site of the old pit in Featherstone, which creates a lot of jobs, which is good. Very much a recovering sort of town. It's done quite well for itself in recent years. Much better than some of the other areas around this district. Station, of course, as I've said in other videos, all the stations on this line from Wakefield to Knottingley reopened to passengers, or the ones between Wakefield and Pontefract anyway. Reopened to passengers in 1992, May. That was Streethouse and Featherstone and Pontefract Tanshaw stations. Reopened for the first time since 1967. So you can see we've got a line of poplar trees. We've also got a line of bushes at the bottom as well. So what I can do is put a hawthorn line at the bottom. As we get around a bit further away from the track, there's less obsessional care needs to go into it. You still need to take care to appreciate the detail, but once you're getting this far away, you're really not looking quite as closely. So what we're doing here is we're going to put some poplar trees in if we can find some. Should be somewhere around here. There we are, poplar line. And then what we're doing is we're just looking for other trees that we can drop in, such as that one. Especially at this end, we're just dropping a few extra trees in. And varying them up as well, so you don't get the same tree placed a lot of times. And there we go, it's looking better. Now, this is obviously some sort of pavilion or whatever you call it for a cricket field. We're just going to chuck a bungalow in here. Unfortunately, we really don't have anything suitable for that, really. And then here we're going to put another one of these generic little kit sheds in. So I guess that's what that probably is. And there's not much more we can do with the cricket field, really, unfortunately. It's a very niche asset. Another tree to put in there. And then we're just gradually building up to the basic foliage here, the further away foliage. We can put in a line of brambles and stuff to break up from where the sports fields are to where the fields actually start. And to do that we can just use these lines of embankment. Ideally you'd want something a little bit more tall, I think, though. Although it's not exactly a tall banking that's there in real life. And again, so we've dropped those bits in now. We will put a couple of 3D trees in here, but these will be the sort of boundary ones. Don't plan to be putting any further away than these two. When they're so isolated, there's only a couple, it's not really a big issue. As you can see, we've got the trees there. It's about 28 minutes that's taken us to do. So what can we move on to next? We're staying basically within these boundaries, so we can actually go further away now and look at doing some of this stuff. It's a pretty sort of flat open area, this. Nothing much marking between where the fields are, other than these trees and stuff that's around. And you can just place little lines of trees. Just found one's a bit bigger, there we go. And that nicely breaks up the flat scenery. Always try and use groups of trees when possible to keep the asset count down. But in small lines like this I'm not too fussed about that, but in woods like this here, especially further away from the track, you can get away with plonking little groups like this and just rotating them so you get different trees at the front. There we go. So you can see there we're just slowly breaking up some of this greenness, which will be enhanced further when we put the terrain paint onto it. Very much a slow process, filling in all the gaps. Just putting in odd trees that I can see dotted about. A few smaller ones over here. And again, just chucking a few in down here. There's a little bit more of a line of stuff here, so we can put a maple line in actually in here. Make it a bit more substantial. And we're getting towards now the sort of road out of Featherstone towards Pontefract, where we'll need to put some houses in, long distance houses. We can put the some nice basic ones in, and then we can put housing blocks in the very far distance over here. So what we can put here are flexible semi blocks. See which ones we've got. See if there's any that look quite right. I'm not happy with the fact that the stone one's chucked in there, personally. But I'll just use the brick ones that are already here. We've got a nice little bit of extra padding underneath them, so you can put them on hills and stuff without them floating. Not too worried at this distance. About whether they're the exact sort of house you'd see there or not. I know that they're roughly similar. The colours and stuff might be different, but they're pretty low poly, these ones. They won't take much of an impact on the system. And let's face it, we're half a mile from the track, so you're only going to see them in the very distance anyway. Same for over here, then we'll put a housing block on that set behind. I don't mind using housing blocks at all once it gets to the point where you can't really see them from the cab. I just don't like to use them when you can see it directly from the cab. Right next to the track. You can see there's quite a substantial line of trees behind the track there. Behind the houses there, sorry. I'm going to put a nice big group of those in. Let's see how that's looking. Bit pants because there's no terrain paint or anything like that on it, so it's a bit poor at the minute. So, like I said, we can put a house block here now. Just a case of which one we choose to put in. I would suggest this one. Quite a narrow one. And then just rotating. I'm not too worried about the fact that the roads don't join and stuff, because as I said, it's so far from the line that you're definitely not going to be seeing this from the cab in any great detail. It's just about keeping it so there's something in the background when you take a screenshot, you got something up there. What we can do to break up the fact that you can just see the front of the houses easily is put some trees in front. Not big trees, just some little ones, dot them around. Just drop them in. Select a couple of different ones and just randomly place them. So that then again, when you're looking from the track, you're seeing some trees in front of those houses. You could of course put fences across the front like there's in real life, but I think it's a bit far away. Maybe consider that, but we'll see. So we've got a school of some sort here. I don't know if we have anything suitable for that though. Don't really have anything suitable for that, so we can best off in this case. I find just to leave some trees there, and the fact that it's not visible from the cab, or even from the other camera, probably means that it's not really that important. It's better than having some like behemoth of a building poking out of there that shouldn't be there. Obviously something is going to have to go here. And we'll put a warehouse in there. And then we'll get the housing blocks in here, like I said. And there's another little wood here of trees, so we can put in. It's on a hill, so we can't really do that. And we don't want to use an asset block, so we'll just drop some rough trees in here. Just very crudely sort of placing them around such a distance from the track that it doesn't matter. We're just splashing the mouse all over the place. So long as the 2D trees, that's what matters. And again, you're starting to see it build up a bit over there now. Not worried about this pitch, not worried about that pitch. Not entirely sure what this building is, but I'm going to put a warehouse in here anyway. It's not actually a warehouse in real life, but really not too fussed at this distance from the track what's meant to be then, what's not. So long as it's not like a cathedral or something that's going to stick out the ground miles. Put a small warehouse in here. You can see obviously it's floating a bit there. So you can actually pull the terrain up from this side. The reference height is 61.8 on that corner where it meets the ground. So in this box, well, first of all you click the level off tool. And then you put in your height. This box here is the height that you want the terrain to be set to. So we want it to be set to 61.7. And then a 25 brush. You just go along underneath it. And that levels off the terrain. And then what we can do is just drop the building down so it's fully on there. Like that. And again, you really don't need to worry about going into too much detail at such distance from the track. It's at this point we're getting on for nearly a mile. And the only reason I'm actually bothering this far away really is because it's on a hill. So it is visible from the line. Not exactly sure what I'm going to put up here, to be honest. It's a bit of an iffy one. It's a pretty big sort of building. Haven't actually looked to see what we've got in the Southampton Bournemouth assets to see what it's used for. Okay, so this office block here probably going to be a good idea. First of all, actually, what we need to do is we level the terrain off. So 62 point, a midpoint, probably a good idea. Again, 61.7, probably good. So a nice mid-range value on that list, on that range there. Bring the terrain down to the right height. We can just put those two there. We don't need to bother with all the back ones. There's no need because they're so far back there. They had to obviously be blocked out by that set there anyway. You can just see the rooftops there over the top of the houses. Okay, so next concern is probably getting some terrain paint on here. And just seeing what it looks like. See if we can add any extra detail. See what we can do to make it look a bit better because it's a little bit bare at the minute. I can see that. There's a concern. So what I'm going to do first is by the footpath I'm just going to put some dark grass. There's like a border between the edge of the field and the crops. So I've just got a brush of size of 15, a radius of 15 selected. And I'm just going along at the moment, painting the ground. And we can paint different bits, different colours, so we can paint the field this colour. Just to give it a bit of an offset colour. There we go. Next up we need to get some earth paint in here. We'll put them under the posts, because that's where a lot of action can take place. Same again in the middle of the pitch as well. That's where the kickoffs get taken. Obviously the grass gets scuffed up a lot. Looks a little bit better now. So we're moving on to this field here. It's obviously a ploughed field, so it's going to be quite a dark field. A browny coloured field. Put it onto a 60 brush. And I think that'll look alright. So we're just going to go along and meet up with that boundary that we painted. Obviously we can't meet it right in the corner, we need a smaller brush size to go into the corner. Again off the 60 brush, just keeping it consistent. You can turn down the transparency of the actual overlay there so you can see a bit better. But mainly here we're just going to be going along. And I'm going to cover it, so over do it a bit on this side, and I will go back over and paint the borders afterwards. I think it's going to be the easiest solution here, to paint the field borders afterwards. Now it's a slightly different sort of looking field there, but I'm not sure if that's just something to Google or if that's actually what it is. But it'd be nice to have a little bit of a break in it, I think, so we'll probably do that. So yeah, I need to go back and finish the borders off along here. And what this does is just sort of providing some sort of change just from the brown all the time. I'm not going to go through the middle of there with it, but I'm going to go up here with it. And then we've got the more trees here, so we can use a forest floor brush. And what a forest floor brush will do quite often as well is it'll make it so that if it snows, it'll not go fully white in game. The snow texture won't form there because it's under trees. Obviously you don't get so much snow under a lot of trees. Same there. That's starting to look a bit more normal. And we can change the colour on the next field up, obviously. Just slightly darker brown. And then paint up this way towards where the farm is. Just like so. And again, we can always come back and just tidy this up afterwards. It's not a final thing by any means. Obviously the issue we've got at the minute is that we're very much on a bit of a curved edge there. With the way the terrain paint tool is, it's hard to get a directly straight edge to show. And that's mainly down to the way terrain painting works a lot of the time. It's hard to get perfectly straight bits to show because of the way the terrain mesh and everything, the whole world layout is set out in Train Sim. So we've got a bit of fixing to do on the boundary that I should have done afterwards, but for some reason I decided to do it before. That's my own stupid fault. And again, a little bit to fill in. So we've got those bits, we've got this bit to do here. We've got the cornfield at the back here, it's a bit of a brighter colour, so we can use a more yellowy colour for that one. Use that one there. I'm going to use a nice big brush because you can see the size of this field, obviously. Put it back on a rounded brush. I prefer using the rounded one myself. Less angular edges. And I'll redo the borders afterwards. I should have definitely done those afterwards. I don't know why I did them now. So there we go. Another field in. It's starting to look a bit better up there now. So we've got the grass dark to do the border again. Around the edges. Same on this side, we just need to paint a line around it slightly. And just put a bit of bare grass in here as well, just to vary up a bit. And then there's another little yellow field in here. We can do a corn light on this section. We've got another field on the inside of here. And I'm not going to worry painting past the houses, I'm just painting up to the houses. Just like that. There we go, it looks a lot better with some paint on there. I reckon we still need to put something in here. Maybe a line of hawthorn bushes, even though there's not much there in real life, there's obviously grass and stuff. I think it's going to improve by having just a line of bushes there to break the monotonous sort of nothingness up. Just drop those in. And it just makes it look a little bit more filled in. That's the overall aim with that. Same for these bits, we can do it here as well. Just breaks the fields up that bit more. Makes it look that bit more believable as well. Same again, just up to the top of there. And then we've got the trees doing their thing up there as well. Okay, so that leaves us with that. Obviously there's a big gap up there to fill in, but that makes it look a lot better. That leaves us with these bits down here to finish painting. And what we can use here is a dark medium grass for the bowling field, the bowling green. And we are going to get a bit of leakage here with the paint, just because of the way that it sadly goes. Again, there's nothing wrong with coming back and tidying this up afterwards, but terrain painting does help to add that little extra bit to your route. So we'll do a green football field and we'll put in various mud patches afterwards. So we can put in some grassy earth in the middle, and then on the goalposts we can put in more muddy sort of ground. Just like that. And then the cricket field once again. Different shade of green, so it's all varied up. So we don't end up with the same colours everywhere. And again in the middle I'm just going to put some, try and put something through the middle, makes it sort of look like it's been run on. It's not easy to do. And that sort of more or less completes this little scene. It doesn't finish it completely by any means, but it sort of makes it so it's certainly passable. So what else can we do here? We can put in a bit more in the way of trackside furniture. The way to do that is if you've got a cab ride of the route, which I'm going to be looking at in a second, you can put in cable troughs and stuff like that, which is generally the most useful thing, generally the most seen thing, I mean, that you see in real life. I'm not sure if there's actually really much going up on this section. There's a cable trough on the right hand side that I can see looking at the cab view, which I'll put in a second. Other than that, there really isn't much on this little section of track. Before you get to the crossing, there's some junction. Before you get to the signal on this side, there are some junction boxes and stuff which needs to go in, and I'll do that in a sec. First of all, to do a cable trough, we simply select the offset tool that I just did up there, the select tool, mark out the piece of track that we're going to be doing, which is up to there. Press the offset tool, and then we want to offset a cable trough on this bit. And we go to Liverpool, Manchester, this cable trough loft. Just click it on there. It'll be a bit too high at this point, so we need to just lower it down a bit more. Just so you get rid of that light ballast look. I'm not too fussed about the grass going through it, because in real life it does disappear behind a lot of grass as well, so that's not a concern. Now, before the crossing and the signal, there's a section of line side fencing, and then the telephone for the signals in front of it. So you got this section here, which is pipe fencing. The best version of this I've got is in the JT Common Library. You can just place that in, and then you just select it and drop it down to track level. And then all we have to do is find the phone that's in the JT signal section. It's JT Other, I think it is. SPT alone. And then that can just stand in there. Move that bush across a bit, because there's actually a little gantry or an equipment platform that's got some junction boxes on it. So bring that down to that level, lower this grass a bit more. And what we're looking for here is to get this down to the level where it meets the ballast flush and you don't see grass through it like that. And just lower that grass out of the way so it's not going to be interfering or anything. And then we're going to use this to put the equipment boxes on, and on that there is 2 equipment boxes that I can see. And we'll use the JT ones because they don't have like pipes or anything attached, cable trough or anything attached to the bottom of them. And they are on the signal section. And location boxes 1. Just place that on top of there. 2 of those in place. And the scene overall, slowly getting there. Obviously you've got the fully green background, which does make it hard to believe, but you sort of look across there and that's now getting a bit more complete. Getting a bit happier with that now. And there's other views that we can see starting to appear. It's until you get the full scenery and it's really quite difficult to get a full grasp on how it's looking, but I think once we're finished doing the scenery up on the hill and everything, this will look just fine. It's a case of bearing with it until that point. So we're coming to the end of the episode now. Thanks again for watching, guys. Any comments or anything, do leave them. I'll try and answer your questions. Appreciate you watching as always. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We're usually live on Twitch on Saturday night at 8 PM. And that's at twitch.tv/trainsim_TV. Thanks very much for watching, guys. See you later. Bye.